I've lived in London for many years now, 10 to be precise. And also lying, I think it's actually 11. Oh boy. And if you come to me looking for mindless trivia about the tube or an interesting place to walk that's off the beaten track, hey, I'm your man. You want to know which tube station is the only one whose name features none of the letters in the word mackerel? It's St John's Wood. I've got you covered. But lately I've had a few people ask me for recommendations of places to go for dinner, places to eat, and in a city full of Michelin stars, brimming with flavour and culture, a melting pot of different experiences, brimming with ideas, I can tell you about a really good Nando's, and it's not just limited to restaurants. I'm someone who drinks an awful lot of coffee, and for that kind of person, I find myself going to an awful lot of the same chains. And look, we all have our routines, we're creatures of habit. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that, but sometimes a change of scenery is nice. So pack your bag, put on your sunscreen, we're going exploring to find a few different places. I did some Googling and found 3 coffee shops that I wanted to take a little visit to, so I had a day out. London is a place with an absolutely thriving coffee scene. I was going to make a joke about coffee shops per capita, but then I realised there actually has been research done into this, and London's not particularly high on the rankings. I think Brighton is top of the table, and you know what? Good for them. Like, the sea's not enough, I guess. Either way, there are still plenty of places for me to go exploring, and we're going to start today at Proof Rock Coffee. When I googled for recommendations, this was high on most people's lists, and it's very easy to see why. I had a flat white, which was absolutely stellar, and we also had a pastry and scrambled eggs for breakfast, all very delicious. It's a cozy, vibrant little space, and I do recommend it, although be warned, it is popular. We waited 15 minutes for a table, but after we were seated, a massive queue started behind us, and you can, of course, take away, but it's just something to keep in mind. Another part of this little exercise is that I want to spend this summer enjoying London as much as possible. It's a story for another video, but in this economy, I don't know how much longer I can stay here. Hopefully, for as long as I'd like, but if my days in the capital are numbered, I want to fill those days wisely and well. I want to fill them with the joy of little treats, things that a certain generation would tell us are frivolous, but I would say bring colour and comfort to an otherwise bleak and anxiety-ridden world. And I planned this day out cleverly. I built in little walks between the various stations so that I wasn't overwhelming myself with caffeine and sweets, and also I had my dinner planned courtesy of this week's sponsor, HelloFresh. If you've been around before, you know they're an old friend of the channel. HelloFresh is a meal kit delivery service that brings you the ingredients you need to cook fresh, home-cooked meals right to your doorstep. On a day out like the one I'm having, it's nice to know that I don't have to think about shopping, I don't have to worry if I've got enough stuff in to make a nutritious, fulfilling meal when I get home. It's all already taken care of. It's incredibly simple to use. You just go in, you select what recipes you want that week, how many portions, how many recipes you want that week. It's fully customizable, so you can absolutely change it to suit your needs. You can pause your subscription if you know you're going on a holiday for a little while. Each recipe comes with a card with photo instructions. It's incredibly simple to follow, but even if you're an experienced cook like me, I found it's massively changed the way I approach certain recipes. I've said that I'm a big fan. Here is a folder full of recipe cards that I've kept over the years because some of the recipes have been so delicious that I know I want to go back to that one again. The meals are in a bunch of different categories, so ones that you can cook quickly, ones that are street food inspired, there are ones that are meat free. So dinner is fully taken care of, it is to your schedule, and you can spend the time you want to spend actually enjoying the summertime. It's all very delicious, highly recommend, and if you want to give HelloFresh a go, I have a special offer for you. Just follow the QR code here or the link in the description, and you can get 60% off your first box and 25% off the rest of your boxes for the next 2 months, and free desserts for life. And if you sign up in June, there is an opportunity to play Catch and Cook, which is a new little game that they have going where you can win a whole bunch of prizes, including a culinary trip to New York, Smeg kitchenware, you know how I feel about my Smeg stand mixer, and there are a bunch of instant win prizes as well. So sign up, play the game, get some delicious food, and have a lovely time. Thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring the video, and let's get right back into it with cafe number 2. St Paul's Cathedral, very famous tourist destination that many people want to visit every year. I've never been, but if you want to, you could well come here, and then I've had a good tour, I need a little bit of lunch, perhaps some refreshment. You could go to one of the various chains that are around here, and that is entirely your prerogative, judgment-free zone. However, I have read about a little independent place that's just down the road and might be a little bit more interesting, exciting, different. If I can figure out how to get out of these gardens, I'll go and take a look at it. The Wren coffee shop is named, of course, for Sir Christopher Wren, who designed St Paul's Cathedral, and it's nestled inside St Nicholas Cole Abbey, a working church that was also designed by Christopher Wren. He was booked and busy. It's so chill in here. The high ceilings and Radio 2 vibes help create such a lovely space, so it's perfect to come and do a bit of work or just read your book in a bit of a different setting. I decided to have lunch, so it was a mint tea and a pesto pasta salad. Not gonna lie, the pasta was a little bit bland for my taste, and very heavy on the parsley, which is my nemesis herb. But for atmos and a bit of peace and quiet, I would highly recommend. I also think coffee shops are just a central part of people's lives, and that's why I resent this idea so much that, like, just by having a latte, it's an extravagance. Obviously, some of the prices are a little bit on the steep end, often unnecessarily so, but it's not like this is a new phenomenon. Coffee houses have been an important part of English culture for literal centuries. Like, in the 18th century, they were the homes for gossip and scandal, and it's where artists and authors would go and meet patrons and audiences. So it's nothing new, and I've been thinking a lot lately about third spaces. You might have seen an awful lot about this in the past few months, year maybe. For the uninitiated, you have your primary space, which is your home, your secondary space, which is your workplace, or I suppose if you're a kid, school. And then your third space is a place where you unwind and connect with friends and forge a sense of community. It's where you go to socialise, and that's yet another thing that we sort of lost touch with in the old Panny D. And the archetypal third space in popular culture is Central Perk. It's a coffee shop. So yeah, coffee shops are kind of important to us. And even if I don't spend too much time physically in them, I'm going in, getting my drink, and then off about the rest of my business. They've been a really integral part of my routines over the years. And I think little rituals are so important to our well-being. I mean, there's a reason that morning routines are still all over YouTube. Coffee shops sort of form a little map of my life in the city. So there's the Starbucks in Embankment where I used to get my coffee on the way to my shift at Waterstones. There's the indie place that I go to now. It's round the corner from the WrestleTalk offices. I don't stop in there long, but I think the barista has started to recognise me a little bit, and we've started to have conversations about the weather, which is very wholesome. When I think about this, I always think about the one that is round the corner from the flat I lived in during lockdown the 3rd in South London. I won't say where it is, my friend still lives there, I don't want to dox them. But I got to know the staff there, and they started to get to know my order, so I just sort of walk in and it was there. If I needed a space to work that wasn't my flat, when we were allowed to do it, I would go and sit in their little garden. And when I eventually moved out, on the day I was leaving, they gave me a free drink because they were going to miss me, and it was really sweet. I actually went in the other day when I visited my friend who still lives there, and all of the staff had changed. And that's kind of interesting in a way. It's part and parcel of the transient nature of life in the city. And I guess life everywhere really was sort of less chained to one place for the rest of our lives, but it was a stop in my life that was incredibly valuable during a pretty difficult time. So I'm all for anything and everything that can foster and create and nourish those kinds of community feelings. I think we need them so desperately in this country. The last place I visited was one that's been on my list for ages. It's Attendant Coffee in Fitzrovia, in a disused Victorian public toilet that still has all of the original tilings. The urinals have been turned into the booths, which sort of redefines quirky a little bit, but don't worry, it's very hygienic, and I can tell that because they've got about 12 5-star food hygiene certificates on display, so it's very easy to get past any weird feeling you might have, especially when the menu was so good. The coffee was great, the cake was a little bit dry but still tasty, and they were playing Janet Jackson, so it's gotta be a 10 from me. That's the video for today. No moral of the story other than go and follow your curiosity, explore some new places, and find your sense of community. Stick a little flyer on a notice board. But also, if you have a little routine, even if that is the chain shop on the way to your part-time job, have a little moment to be grateful for taking that time for yourself in the morning and reflect on how lucky we can be. And also tip your barista if you can. God knows they deserve it.